Hey, it's Mosquito, also known as Chris. Welcome to the shop. So if you caught the last part, I've been working on this Walker Turner 1165 table saw restoration, except I have two. That one's a little bit further along. That was actually the second saw I got. This is the original saw that I got, but I need to get this thing torn apart because I had that one sandblasted and I'm gonna have this one sandblasted too, so I can go ahead and get this thing repainted. I decided to go that route just because once I really started to test out some of the paint and clean it a little bit up, there's actually a little bit more missing than I thought there was going to be. So that's what I'm going to do now, and I will talk to you as I am continuing to get this thing all torn down. So like I said, I had thought about trying to keep all the paint as original as I could, but it just wasn't really working out the way I had hoped. So when I got that second one in, I tore that one down right away and decided I found a shop that would sandblast it for me, and it was fairly reasonable. So I was pretty happy with that for what it saved me with a wire wheel. I would have probably taken quite a while to get it all cleaned up to the point where I'd be able to paint it again myself. Because quite honestly, the time is the problem at this point for me. I do a much better job of getting things done in the winter because I don't have air conditioning. Well, I have air conditioning. I have a portable air conditioner. That's all I have for air conditioning. But my heat works great. There's a couple of vent holes in my garage door that I use for the portable air conditioner. Oh, no lock nut? Huh, okay. So it's a lot easier to paint in the winter because I can still do that exhaust and then have fresh air intake, whether I leave the door open or if I have another one open. Another one of my vents open in the garage door because there's 3 total. My furnace can keep up with that. I just prefer painting in the winter, long story short. What I'm gonna do is get this all torn down, then I have to get the front, has a couple of badges on it. So there's like the tilt gauge and the Walker Turner badge. I gotta get those off, and then I'm gonna have to get the stud out of this one, and I already got it out of the side panel, so I'm gonna get that part taken care of, and then we will kind of come back and take a look at that other saw quick. Okay, now I've got to go find a baggie with some bolts. One of the things that I like to do is I'll take plastic baggies and I will put a little piece of tape on it and then write the hardware and kind of keep things organized that way. That's saw number 1. That was the saw that I got out of Long Island. This is the saw that I got out of Wisconsin. So like I said, this one came from Wisconsin, very much in the same way that the other one came from Long Island. A bunch of old woodworking machines friends, slowly turning into family, I think, helped me get it. So the guy that was selling it, there was somebody that met him, and then he brought it back to his place, left it in the truck in his garage, and then brought it down to Iron Fest is the name of an event that they have every year. I wasn't able to go that year. My brother-in-law was getting married. Then my friend Doug brought it up from there. I met him in kind of on his way up. I was like literally 4 or 5 minutes ahead of him when I got there. And so we met in a parking lot at a Costco, I think it was, and decided it was raining a little bit and it was about to rain a lot bit. So I said, hey, I passed a parking garage over by the transit center. Let's go there. And he said, I don't feel like getting wet. I'll follow you. So basically, we held up in a parking ramp. We went up to 2nd floor to make sure that we were going to be out of the way of anybody that actually needed to use it. And then I disassembled this thing in the back of his pickup truck in about 20 minutes, listening to the pouring rain that we weren't in. So got it all loaded up into my Subaru, brought it home, and then put it in my garage for about a day, day and a half, and then got it back here. That brings us to the paint. So like I mentioned before, brought it to a sandblaster that I found locally. He took care of it. It took about a week-ish to get it back. After he got it all done, I brought it back home, started priming it immediately. So I just used Rust-Oleum Farm and Implement paint, got it all primed, and then I set up what I dubbed the paint pit. Some people have a paint booth. Well, I had drop cloths and some plastic, so it was not so much a booth, more just a pit. And got everything all painted up after that. Couple coats that I sprayed on with the HVLP gun from my compressor. And then I rolled on these black details. So I went with Ford gray, and then I went with just their low loss black. A couple of spots that I probably could have actually color matched and had like a custom paint mixed so that it would have been kind of an original color, but I really wanted to do the accents on like all this piping and that kind of stuff just because I thought it would look cool, and I think it'll look better once I get the plate. It looks a little bit weird with these two big, but anyway, that brings you up to speed on this one. I am going to get to finishing debadging the other one so I can get that ready to bring to the sandblaster. These are just a couple of screws. These are some drive screws. Neither one of them go through the back, so got to be really careful with this. This one's easy. The next question you might be asking is, why did you decide to get two? Well, remember how when we were going through this one, there were some parts that were broken, like on the main casting underneath that held the motor and the saw blade and all that kind of stuff. And then there was that issue with the drive screw and all that stuff. I kind of decided that I was going to look for another one. Then that second saw popped up. See, nice, easy to. And I decided, what the heck? I made the guy an offer, and he eventually decided, sure. Sometimes you just hit stumbling blocks that kind of throw you off. And this thing sat for about 9 months between when I started the initial work on this, started running into all those issues, and then I kind of fizzled out, and then I ended up in summer where it's just not that easy to paint, and decided to just kind of let it sit, debate what I wanted to do, and well, ultimately that's what I decided. I wanted to get another saw because I wanted to try modifying one of them to take a guard of some sort, a blade guard, and that's what I ended up doing with the other table, which we'll dig into later. I may end up doing that to this one, but I'm not 100% sure yet. I really hate drive screws, for the record, just because I'm always really worried that I'm going to really mess something up trying to get them out. So what I was doing there is just using an old beater wood chisel to kind of get it started, just enough to kind of pull that drive screw up enough so that I could get this little tiny crowbar thing underneath it. So there, see, that was enough that I could get that in there to just start wedging that drive screw out to be able to get that thing out from the front table casting. Well, the good news is I got it off of there. Bad news is I did so when the head of the drive screw snapped off. So I'm going to get to drill that out, and we'll figure that out in a little bit. So these studs here are basically threaded. These go all the way through. So over here we can see the back side of it, and I'm just going to put a little bit of oil on it. And that's not the right oil for that, but that's okay. It's what I had handy. So we'll just let that soak for a second and talk about new saw. So the other saw, I think what I'm going to do is one is going to be a dado, and then the other one is going to be my actual table saw. The reason I started with that other one instead of doing this one was because this one's in really good shape as far as the original casting is concerned. It's not got a whole bunch of random holes in it. The other one has a bunch of holes drilled, I'm not even sure for what. Some of them for the switch, but also I don't know what. And so what I was doing was kind of using that one as the practice, so to speak. You know, make sure that my process was going to work, and then if it didn't work, I could just, you know, get rid of it. There we go. And just deny that I ever had it. So this one will be kind of the restoration blog, vlog, whatever you want to call it. And the other one is basically the guinea pig and the I just want it done. So as you can see here, this is just that screw, and it's, you know, threaded on both sides. And then Part of it goes into the casting, and then the other part should have a little knob on it. I'm actually missing a couple of knobs from this one, so I'm gonna have to figure something out for that, but that's a burn it later type of bridge. So basically, that's what I did to clean up the other side. I did it a little bit power assisted. I used a 1/4 sheet sander, and I just slapped it down on top of my Scotch-Brite brad and went to town with that. But yeah, basically, I just scrape it with a razor blade scraper, and then that takes care of a lot of the rust that's just surface rust. Obviously, if you have a lot of heavy, deep rust that's got pitting, it's not going to work for that. But for this light rust, I know it doesn't look that great, but it's pretty light rust, all things considered. That works great, and the best thing is I'm not flinging wires all over the place, and I'm not making a huge cloud of dust. It's just kind of scraped off, and then, well, we just take care of it with that. They cleaned up real nice. I'm happy with that, and these are ready to rock. I just loaded the tote full of other parts. So last time it was just this table and then the 4 cabinet parts, but this time this saw has the 2 extensions, and I'm bringing all the other parts for like the motor mount and the lift mechanism and the doors and all that stuff. So that's all gonna go, and we will get this loaded up in the Subaru and head on south to get these things to the sandblaster.